Most often when we think of a building, be it a house or a school, we assume one big rectangle, and inside that big rectangle there will be smaller rectangles and smaller squares. So it virtually becomes more like we have a site which is geometrical, within that we have a building plan which is geometrical, within that we put all geometry inside. Very commonly seen. This here is totally different. From the roadside, there is a very inviting kind of a compound wall and a gate which makes any person going by very curious. So we come into the school, the foreground. One thing we realized was the sense of entry. There is a winding water body on which there are steps going up, which is built on a vault, and there are anti-columns, and even the roof for the veranda becomes part of the larger roof profile which we designed, and of course there are arrangements for the children to leave their footwear and whatnot. And then we come into this one of the most unique walls we have ever designed, what we call as a catenary arch with complete perforated wall. So children then walk in, and on the right side we have the prayer room. The prayer room also doubles as a kind of a resource center with bookshelves which are actually designed as a bay window with corbelled support outside. This particular room gets a kind of what we call as a vaulted curved roof. The walk from the prayer room is a long walk in a way with a kind of a guiding color strip in the oxide flooring which has been built in there. So we walk into this space which actually is a multifunctional space. It also doubles up for workshops, activities, and also is a passage. Children are sitting and working. All that happens in this long multifunctional flowing space. As the child walks in, immediately to the right they get attracted to a sandpit, and on the left side we see the open air amphitheatre area. The building itself has a curve, so naturally the steps are also curved, and there is a little stage in the center. It's done completely naturally using the local rubble. There is also another concept of sustainability in this, upcycling. Old tires, colored, painted bright, has been used to create a mound, and there is a tree growing out of this mound. Hence when somebody walks into the building, whether it's outdoor or indoor, they can feel a kind of a connectedness in the complete plan of this building. So we walk in, we have a rammed earth wall covered with a mud wash. There is a black oxide wall. On the one side of the wall we see the hollow clay block, and on the top we see the potted filler ceiling. Further on we notice the ceiling changes to prefabricated beam system with what we call as a rammed earth mud tile with leaf imprints in it. Further on when we come, on the left side we have the kitchen and the dining. This gets another kind of a roof here, vaulted roof with hollow clay blocks. Further on we have the utility area, and it's a skylit utility area. So there is ambient light there, and of course the wash basin, etc. And interestingly we have a colored rammed earth wall there, and this central space then further moves on to create a small little dining area, and there is another interesting space, the attic or the mezzanine as one may call it. Walk up into the mezzanine. Of course the wooden ladder is done to the scale of the children. There is a small bed with somebody sleeping, there is a miniature kitchen and many other activities in that space. Kids love that space. When they walk into this school, there is a large ground, play area. They come to the veranda, little small area. They come to the hall, seemingly long, spacious. Turn right, the prayer room which is stepped up, so the scale again comes down. And when they finally come to the end and they walk up to this attic or the mezzanine, both below the mezzanine and above the mezzanine is children's scale. Now coming to the most important space in the school, the main hall where the children are engaged in multiple activities. So one side we have white colored rat trap bond wall, and it's a very gentle curvilinear wall. At another space we have the main wall which divides the space with the entrance hall. There are 3 arches there which are in the horseshoe shape. In between these arches we have what we call as a perforated wall, jali wall, and the other 2 ends basically large arches. The hall inside itself, the multiple purpose activity space, gets a roof which on top is a kind of an S curved roof done with clay material. One of the speciality of this project is a dome. It's a natural dome built without any shuttering and supporting and all of them, and there are 4 eyes to the sky on top, so during the day one can see the way the sun rays move across this domed space. The space is of course used as a multifunctional space. Largely what we notice here is natural materials everywhere, and the floor finished with oxide flooring, which is also common across the whole school, makes it look as close to nature as possible, with as much of openness as possible, with as many multiple sources of light coming in as possible, and of course the air movement across the whole hall as such. When we started this project, there was one common denominator, a common belief between all of us, that this building should become part of nature. How to achieve it? Architecturally, yes, we can look at the natural materials, natural light, natural ventilation. But beyond that, though it is 1 acre of land, the building has a very small footprint, only as much as needed. So there is a tree buffer all around this building. The idea of building with nature can happen at a very, very complex and deeper level. So this building also climatically, from the performance of temperature, humidity, airflow, lux meter, it performs extremely well. So varied criteria of designing for sustainability, energy efficiency, recyclability. Someday if this building has to be demolished, much more than 50% of this building can be upcycled or recycled. Passive cooling systems. Because of multiple openings around into multiple directions, the building is cooled. High ceilings to reduce the heat which comes at the lower level. One can go on listing, but suffice to say that the building has been designed for ecology and also keeping the criteria of climate change to some extent as well. A school which is not only for the present but also for the future. Foothills Learning Center, a school for the future.